It is getting rough out there, friends, with grocery prices. And now that I have 2 kids moved out, just starting their kitchen experience, I'm reminded how important it is to have these skills of being able to grocery shop on a budget and figure out what in the world you're going to eat that week. Can we live on $30 for an entire week from Walmart, starting from almost scratch? So for my 2 grown adult moved out children, this one's for you. For the first week of my 18-year-old son's living in his own apartment, he lived off of frozen waffles and sandwiches for every meal. Now that we're a few more weeks into that, he has branched out a little bit. So for lunches every day, he does chicken on rice with some kind of sauce. That's his lunch every single day. And he has a fairly limited budget. He has $60 a week for groceries and some toiletries sometimes, which is pretty small. So I thought I would take $30 and figure out what we could do with my son in mind. He does not have a dishwasher, so he does not want to do a ton of dishes, and he's busy. He is not going to be making homemade bread. He is not going to be cooking dinner every night. He wants grab and go, maybe one batch of something, eat it all week kind of a situation. So I headed to Walmart to see what I could find. My friends, it is challenging. I ended up with all of these items for $31 for the week for one person. I am, of course, assuming that you have salt and pepper and a fat of some kind. And this was accurate in both my son and daughter when they moved out because they got roommates. And the roommates already had salt and pepper and like a cooking oil. So we were good. Without further ado, let's get cooking. Now, the second I get home from the grocery store, I need to prep 2 items, and they are my ground turkey. This is less than $2 at Walmart for 1 pound of ground turkey. It comes frozen. So you can buy a couple of them, and this is so much cheaper than the ground beef that you will be buying at Walmart, which is $5, $6, almost $7 a pound, depending on what you're purchasing. So all I'm gonna do with this is pop it on a plate and let it start thawing so I can actually cook with it. Set that to the side. Next up, I did buy dried pinto beans. You don't have to, you can buy canned, but you also need a can opener if you buy canned. And not all new move outs have things like a can opener and a vegetable peeler, which I noticed when we set up my daughter's kitchen recently. Budget-wise, you can't do much better than the dried bean. The whole thing, boom, into here. I'm doing a quick check for stones. Like sometimes there's little rocks. This one actually looks very clean. And you don't have to do pinto, you can do whichever one you want, but I like pinto because it gets very creamy and mild tasting. Okay, now we're gonna cover this with cold water. You'll notice I've covered it with several inches on top of water. You want room for these to absorb the water and set it to the side. You can let this sit and soak for up to 24 hours just on the countertop. And in a matter of 30 seconds, I have prepped my hard ingredients. Now friends, before we get into too much of the cooking, yes, I am making this video for like new move outs and with my older 2 children in mind. However, these tips can work for pretty much everybody. I know for me, I am shocked when I go to the grocery store and I see your cheapest ground beef is over $5 a pound. I see the store brand of oats, the big tub, over $4 now. This yogurt that I used to always buy for $2, almost $3. The cheapest bread you can find used to be under $1. Now, this was the cheapest one I could find. It's $1.48. Some of them are like $1.80 for like Walmart, like cheapy bread. It's just insane. Breakfast. Would it have been cheaper per ounce if I had purchased the non-flavored tub of oats? Absolutely. However, I am thinking busy college kids.
I'm sorry, I'm really busy, yeah.
But with this, we have a nice base. And because I got the bulk 20 pack, this is gonna last us for 2 to 3 weeks easily, which means we are not going to have to buy more oatmeal for several weeks, leaving room in our budget next week for more variety. I love these because they have a fill line on the back. You don't even need measuring cups here. All right, fill to the line with water. I'm actually going quite a bit over the line because of the items I am adding, and I like to cook it just a hair longer than normal. It really makes it feel like you're eating quite a bit. Microwave time. Here's our oatmeal, and it's really hot. That's just why I have it on this. Next up, we're going to doctor it up with some of this peanut butter. Peanut butter is extremely high in calories and fat and moderate in protein, which means it's going to make you feel full for quite a long time. So 1 serving is 2 tablespoons. Go ahead and stir that in until it's all melty and delicious. And then we're gonna add a sliced banana. Now it's got this like cinnamon peanut butter banana situation that is going to be incredibly satisfying. And when it comes, I'm gonna do maybe half the banana. And then if you leave the banana in the peel, you can eat the other half at lunch. So depending on the size of the banana, this could be anywhere from an additional, I don't know, 75 calories to 100 calories for half of a banana. So with 1 oatmeal packet, the peanut butter and banana, we're sitting at 400, ouch. Man, it's too hot. We are sitting at 450 calories and 11 grams of protein for this super quick breakfast. If you did 2 oatmeal packets, we would bump it up to 510 calories and 15 grams of protein. Bon appetit. Breakfast option number 2. If you wanted to save money, you could have just bought like 1 cup, 1 or 2 cups. And I'm gonna show you something that's gonna look completely insane, but it will be delicious, I promise. What I love about these Dan and Light and Fit knockoffs from Great Value is the macros cannot be beat. It's 80 calories and 13 grams of protein in one little guy. So if you're really looking to bulk up your protein, you can double these up and add your mixed fruit on top. How easy is this? You're not even cooking anything. So you don't need a recipe for that one. So instead, what I'm gonna show you, we're going to doctor up the oatmeal and yogurt together. Hold on to your horses.
Why don't you go and put your trousers on?
All right, hold your horses.
So obviously we do have to cook the oatmeal. This time I am going right up to the line. There we go. 1 minute in the microwave. And in another bowl, we'll add our 1 cup of yogurt. Now I have peach yogurt because I like peach yogurt. You could do vanilla and doctor the flavor up any way you like. And yes, the tub will be cheaper than the cups. I just didn't do that today because it totally blew my budget. To our yogurt, we're then adding the cooked oatmeal. What? We have just turned our peach yogurt into a peach brown sugar cinnamon crumble or cobbler or crisp. So now we've got like cold yogurt, hot oatmeal. Oh my gosh, this is the most delicious thing you've ever tried. And what's crazy are the macros. This is only 240 calories and 17 grams of protein right here. Of course, we can bulk it up with some more fruit on top if you happen to have it around, or you can eat it just like this. And the best part, it took less than 2 minutes to put together. Lunchtime, and what I know about my 2 kids is they're either at work or school and they're not running home for lunch. So it's a pack your lunchtime and we're gonna bust it out with some sandwiches.
Sandwiches!
PB&J style, nice and easy with sides. We can do a side of banana, a side of sliced cucumber, a side of sliced carrot. We're gonna do veggies and fruit on the side of our PB&J sandwiches. Every loaf of bread is going to give you a minimum of 9 sandwiches, which means some days you can do more than 1 if you would like to, but you don't have to. And I know we didn't buy ranch dressing, but I always seem to have some of these packets like hanging out in the fridge. Like I've got this buttermilk ranch, I've got ghost pepper ranch. I don't know what, I probably wouldn't dip cucumber into barbecue, but I could mix the barbecue and ranch, and then I would come up with a couple. I could mix the Cholula and ranch and have like a nice spicy ranch to dip all my veggies in for the week. We are going to be cooking up 2 dinners this week, and we're starting with the pasta. Now, obviously this is a 2-pound container of pasta. I'm only gonna use half, which leaves me with another pound for next week. Ideally, this will feed someone 4 meals. Okay, in a warm pan, we are going to throw in whatever cooking fat you have. I'm just using some oil here, like this. 1 diced onion, like this. We're just gonna get this a little softened, just a hint of salt. This is a very large pan because I'm gonna mix my sauce and pasta all in this 1 pan, and I want to flavor every layer that I'm putting in here. So a little bit of salt, tiny bit of pepper, and yeah, this is 1 whole onion. Look, it doesn't look like very much, does it? Okay, these have a little bit of color on them, so I'm gonna kind of push them off to the side, and we'll add 2 more things. So I have 3 large cloves of garlic coming in here on top of the onions. Okay, now that we are at this point, everything is cooked, bring it all together, and I'm gonna add my tomato sauce. So here I have most of the tomato paste that I diluted with about 2 cups of water, and 1 cube of chicken bouillon into 1 cup of water here. And again, I'm gonna season with salt, a little bit of pepper, and if you're lucky, you might have some Italian seasoning hanging around, or your roommate will. Actually, don't know if I have any. I don't have any. I do have a little bit of basil left over, so let's throw some of that in there. That feels like a good plan. And I'm gonna let that come to a simmer while I cook up my noodles. For my pasta, I will use half of this 2-pound container. And I wanna talk about the protein pasta that everybody is pretty excited about. So let's just talk about the facts. And this is just the regular cheap budget pasta, is 7 grams of protein. And the Protein Plus pasta has 10 grams of protein. So it's only 3 grams more per 2-ounce serving. I don't know anybody that stays with 2 ounces. Most people do 4. When you cook a box of pasta, how many servings comes out of it? 4, 6, probably 4, right? So you're already getting like 14 grams of protein out of just regular pasta for a much cheaper price. So yes, it has slightly more protein, but you would add a ton more protein just by adding like canned tuna or a little bit of chicken and not paying the premium for the more expensive marketing of the other box. Okay, my water is boiling. I'm gonna do a hefty pinch of salt because that's gonna season the pasta itself, and half the box is going in. And I have cooked it al dente because I actually want it to soak up the sauce a little bit. And I did save some pasta water just in case it felt a little thin, which right now it actually doesn't look thin at all. And because I don't have any cheese, because we couldn't afford it this week, I am gonna add some creaminess with, I'm gonna add some of this sour cream that I bought. And then I'm actually just gonna turn the heat off and let this sit in the pan for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. And remember, I'm gonna try and eat this for 4 meals. Each serving of this pasta is gonna have 625 calories and 30 grams of protein. This is 2 servings. Remember, I'm trying to divvy this into 4. So it's actually a good amount in that bowl. And remember, I do have some frozen green beans. You can get whatever frozen veggies you like. For me, I'm actually gonna save my green beans for a soup we're making in a couple of days. Oh my gosh, this is so good. This is so good. I would happily eat this for 4 dinners. Oh my gosh. Or 3, if you want to do it that way. Next up, let's make soup. I have my soaked beans, soaked and rinsed, and they got absolutely enormous. You can also do this in a crock pot, on a pot on the stove. It does not have to be an Instant Pot. You just basically cover it with water and let it cook until the beans are soft. The secret to making these well is to make sure you give them enough water. I have 8 cups of water in there. Yeah, that's probably maybe too much, but too much is better than too little. You can add salt at this point or chicken stock, but I'm gonna leave it because I will season it later. For the Instant Pot, it's just so easy. You can grab these at thrift stores now because people are getting rid of them. So I just make sure that it's sealed up here. I think I have a bean button. Yeah, there's a bean button right there. And I'm just gonna wait until it's finished. Let's get crack-a-lackin' on our throw everything in a pot soup. Soups are super easy to make. You can add whatever ingredients you want and it can feed a crowd on a budget. It's gonna be your best friend. So I am starting with whatever cooking oil or fat that you have hanging around in a hot soup pan. And I'm getting it started with my other onion, and I did have a few extra carrots that I'm going to throw in there and get started. Quick pinch of salt, and we'll let those go for just a few minutes until they're slightly soft. Now that our carrots and onion are cooked down a little bit, I'm gonna come in with my garlic, and this will not stay in here for very long. I just want to get it warmed through kind of. You do not want your garlic to turn brown. The best thing about buying onions and garlic for budget cooking is they're super cheap, they add a ton of flavor, and they're so versatile. I'm coming in with my bag of frozen vegetables. I have green beans, you could use broccoli, peas, whatever it is that you like. And I'm gonna come in here with my next round of flavor. So I'm starting it with water. I have 8 cups in this measuring cup. So this is 8 cups of water. I'm coming in with my chicken bouillon cubes. And 1 cube is supposed to go in 2 cups of water. So I will add 4 cubes of bouillon to get my flavors coming together. Also coming in with a little bit of black pepper. And as this comes to a boil, all these bouillon cubes will disintegrate and meld into the pot. So we just want to bring this up, let it simmer for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. Don't worry, we're gonna add a ton more stuff. I did keep about 1 tablespoon of my tomato paste that I've been storing in the fridge. I'll add that as well. Now that everything's dissolved and my carrots are soft, I'm coming in with the rest of my ingredients. I have only half of the pinto beans that I cooked. I kind of overdid them a little bit. You can kind of see here because they're a little squishy, but softer is better than not soft. I do have the rest of it sitting over here on the side. I can add it or I might leave it out. I'm just gonna wait and see how it goes. I'm coming in also with the zucchini that I bought. You don't have to use zucchini. If you prefer lentils instead of pinto beans, use that. You know, mix and match however you see fit. I happen to like almost all beans and almost all vegetables. And I want this to kind of simmer and come together. I am going to add my kale as soon as my zucchini is cooked. I love kale in applications like this instead of spinach. I find the texture to be much more pleasing for myself. And because I did add more ingredients and I haven't seasoned these beans at all, I am coming in with another pinch of salt and a little sprinkle of pepper again. Simmer this for maybe 5 minutes until the zucchini is hot. And then I may add all of the beans in here. The beans are kind of like my substitute for protein in this dish. I could also add some of my pasta that I had left over from my pasta dish that's kind of hanging around. That might bulk it up a little bit and make it really delicious. So I'm just gonna add like 1 cup of the pasta because I do want to use the rest of it for next week. So pasta's going in just to bulk it up a hair. My pasta is almost completely there. I tasted the broth. It is awesome. So I'm going to leave only half of the beans in here and come in with all of my kale. This is gonna wilt down to basically nothing. So even if it looks like a lot, it kind of won't be a lot. I will just simmer this for another few minutes to all come together and then we are going to plate. To go with my soup, you don't have to do this, but I had some leftover bread from the bread I got this week. I have a warm pan going here and I'm gonna do some toasted bread to go on the side. You could do this in a toaster or in the oven if you like. I'm gonna do it on this pan. So I have my just touch of oil here and I do want my oil to be warm, kind of grilled cheese style, honestly, until it gets nice and crispy. And this will go alongside my soup, kind of like a homemade crouton situation. Okay, I'm flipping, woo, and I wanna do just a sprinkle of salt right on the flip so it'll stick. There's a little bit of oil still in here. So hopefully I can toast the other side. Here is my completed soup. There is definitely enough for 4 full servings. This is 3.5 cups of soup right here with all of the vegetables, the pasta, the beans. I tasted it. And then when we add our bread, we actually take the calorie count and protein count up a significant amount. So each bowl of soup is sitting at around 15 grams of protein. I bet this is not even 500 calories. So if you want to divvy this into like 3 meals instead of 2, feel free. Bon appetit. Okay, at the end of the week, I do have some items that are left over. So I have a little bit less than half the box of pasta, over half the box of the oatmeal. Like I only use 7, so I have 13 left in here. That's like 2 whole more weeks of oatmeal, which is amazing. The peanut butter and jam, obviously not gonna go through that in a week. More than half of our bouillon cubes, sour cream, and half of our pinto beans that we already cooked. So I've divvied these into 2 bags that I'm gonna stick in the freezer. These are essentially 1 can of beans each. So if I don't wanna do beans next week, I don't have to. I can set them aside and use them in a few weeks from now. So when I do my grocery shopping for next week, I'm not starting from scratch anymore. I do have a few items to get me going. Here's the haul for week 2. This came out to be $30.29 without tax. Now, if you are unfortunately in one of those states that does charge tax on groceries, it will be slightly higher than this. Unfortunately, I am one of those people, so it's actually like $32, $33. But here's what we have. Our lone proteins for the week are gonna be the chicken drumsticks and the eggs. Egg prices are on their way down, so I went ahead and got an 18 count instead of the 12. The 10-pound chicken leg quarters is the better deal when it comes to the chicken drumsticks in the 5-pound versus the 10-pound. However, I didn't have the extra couple of dollars this time, so I went ahead and went with this one. I do shop at Walmart for these challenges, if you have a budget store around you, like a Winco or an Aldi or something else, you know, feel free to go to the one that is the most budget friendly. I don't have an Aldi close to me, so Walmart is one that I know most of the United States has. I saved a couple of dollars by running into Dollar Tree for 2 items. Now, my Dollar Tree is on the way home from Walmart. I wouldn't recommend going out of your way for a small shop like this, but I was already right there. So I wanted to get some milk. I don't need much, just for cooking, not really drinking, and the $1.25 shelf stable versus, you know, $2, $3, $4 for a gallon or half gallon made way more sense financially. And then I wanted to get some Cajun seasoning. My Dollar Tree in the past has had Tony's. They don't now, unfortunately. So we're gonna try out this Kingsford Cajun style. Typically, I use it like salt, like a seasoned salt. So I just wanna check the ingredients really quick. Does include salt. So hopefully this one tastes good. We will figure it out together. You'll notice I did get butter this time, a full pound. I was planning on only getting 2 sticks, but the bigger one was less than $1 extra. Financially, it made more sense to do this one and like try to use it over the next 3 weeks. Prep time is starting with cooking the entire 5 pounds of chicken. I am gonna do mine in my Instant Pot. You don't have to. A crock pot will work, a pot on the stove will work. If I was doing a pot on the stove, I would cover it with water and boil them. I have about 1.5 cups, maybe 2 cups of water in here. An Instant Pot's a great tool for like a college student or a new move out. It's super versatile. It is also not plugged in. Oops. That helps. So I am just gonna hit the poultry button and call it good. I am also going to prep some rice. I'm actually taking this trick from my daughter because this is what she does. So at the beginning of the week, she'll prep some rice. Now, I think she has a rice cooker, but my son does not. And he called me and he's like, Mom, how do you make rice when you don't have an Instant Pot? So I am about to show you. The ratio for rice on a pot on the stove is 2 to 1. 2 measurements of water to 1 measurement of rice. I have 5 cups of water back in here. So I will do 2.5 cups of rice. Now that we are boiling, I'm gonna add in my, yes, washed rice. Oh shoot, I need my other hand, hang on. All right, well, I kind of made a mess. What are you gonna do? Okay, now that the rice is in, I need it to come up to a quick simmer. And this goes pretty quickly. So lid's gonna go on. Come on. I'm taking my temp down to like a medium-ish because it's already boiling. It will simmer quickly. And the second I see bubbles, my heat goes to low and the timer goes to 20 minutes. I see a couple of bubbles. So at this point, I'm giving it a quick stir so it doesn't turn into one big clump. Lid on, down to like a low simmer. Like I'm like at about a 2, 20 minutes on the timer. Okay, 20 minutes. Oh, it's hot. Ah.
It's hot!
And this is what you end up with. It's actually a freaking ton of rice. This was 2.5 cups dry. Cooked, we're probably looking at 5 plus, 6 maybe. So what my daughter does is at this stage, she freezes it in individual servings. So when it's time to make her daily lunch, she just pulls this out of the freezer and it's always ready for her. These are each 1 cup measurements. So I have ended up with over 10 cups of rice. This is 8 cups. And then I could probably fill another 3 with what's left in this one. So these 2 will go in the freezer a la what my daughter likes to do. And because I am gonna be using rice pretty quickly, like tomorrow, I'm gonna go ahead and keep this one in the fridge so it is good to go. Our rice prep is finished for the entire week. Hey, my chicken is all done. As you can see, I've got some delicious chicken broth that I will definitely be keeping in a Tupperware. And all of this chicken, all I'm gonna do is debone it. So I'm gonna take it all off the bone so I just have a nice big Tupperware of shredded chicken for the week. Here is my chicken for the week. I divvied it up into 2 cup containers into each one. And you could also freeze them just like this. So if you're worried about chicken going bad, you know, 1 can stay in the fridge, the other 2 can go in the freezer, and I've got my chicken ready for the entire week. For the first couple nights of dinner or as an easy lunch, we're gonna put together the easiest corn chowder you've ever seen in your life with these ingredients. Because I wanna eat this for multiple meals, I'm doing 2 cans. If you don't want to, you could just do 1 can and cut it in half. So I've got 2 cans of creamed corn into a soup pot. This is a smallish one. Make sure you get all the goodness out of there. I'm gonna add a minimum of 1 full can of the milk of your choice. I would have preferred a whole milk, but my Dollar Tree didn't have one of those. And if you have a shelf-stable milk like I do, remember that after you open it, you do have to put it in the fridge. So I'm gonna do 1 entire can of milk going in just like that. Here is our soup base. It's literally this easy. And then we're gonna come in with a little bit of potato flakes, not the entire thing. It's going to give it some saltiness and some creaminess. I'm gonna start with a 1/4 cup, which is 4 tablespoons, and I still have quite a bit in here. I love using potato flakes as a quick, easy soup thickener when you're making all kinds of soups. So we'll just mix that in, and then we'll go right on the stove and heat it until it's simmered. Here is my corn chowder. I was originally going to do 3 servings of this, but I changed my mind after calculating all of the calories. We're gonna do 2 servings of this, and this is a ton. So each serving will be 2.5 cups, 3 cups, because this is just an absolute ton of food. But calorically, it's not that high. So if I divvy this into 2 dinners, I'm gonna end up with only 12.5 grams of protein per serving and 435 calories. But there you go, 2 dinners. It is literally so easy. So I could eat half of it now and half of it tomorrow. Easy money. Breakfast this week is going to consist of 2 things. First of all, I still have a lot of my maple brown sugar. And so one of my things that I wanted to do was to take a packet and dice up like 1/2 of an apple on top. I just thought that would be so delicious. And in case you guys didn't know, you actually do not need measuring cups with these little packets like this, because they're designed to actually eat right out of the bag. You could pour hot water directly in here and it would hold. This is waterproof on the inside. And also they have a measurement line on it for you. So I have just added my water into this bag up to about the line. Can you see it? It's right there. In we goes into the microwave for a minute. My oatmeal's finished and I'm gonna add 1/2 of this cut up apple. I cut up pretty small. So there's half my apple. I could use half of it for tomorrow. Just stick it in the fridge and I have a delicious breakfast. I'll do this a couple times this week. For lunchy poo, we are definitely going to utilize our potatoes. Baked potatoes is one of my favorite things in the world. They are incredibly inexpensive. Potatoes have a freaking ton of potassium and vitamin, is it C? Hopefully it's vitamin C.
Vitamin C is good for scurvy, isn't it? Yes.
I wanted to see how many potatoes we could end up with 1 5-pound bag. This was $1. It's a great time to buy potatoes. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 13 potatoes. So even if I took half of them and had a baked potato for lunch every single day, I would still be left with quite a few baked potatoes. Now I'm just gonna do this in the microwave because after all, college students ain't got no time.
Not up in here!
I'm gonna do those 4, okay, and I'll save the rest for later. And I do want to give these a very, very good wash because I do want to eat the skin. There's a ton of vitamins and nutrients in the skin. And did you know that potatoes are ranked one of the most satiating foods of all foods? And don't forget, we have our sour cream left over from week 1, and I did buy actual butter.
Yummy, yummy, yummy.
Not only can we use this for the next coming weeks, but what good is a baked potato with no freaking butter? Am I right or am I right? So I'm gonna get out a stick, starting this to soften. I'm gonna scrub these and microwave them up. Here are my 4 washed potatoes. I will stab these with a fork really quick, just so they don't explode. Has anyone ever had that happen? It's never happened to me, but I have seen it happen. Kind of like when you microwave a hot dog, those suckers can explode if you don't poke them with a fork. That has happened to me.
I had a bad experience.
Okay, here are my potatoes. And I do have a potato button right there, so we'll do that. Maybe it goes by weight, we'll see. Sensor, I don't know. Okay, here are my potatoes. They ended up being about 10 minutes or so. For lunch today, I'll just do like 1 potato. I'm gonna show you what I do. I'm gonna do a quick little cut like that. I like to do the restaurant push like this. And I personally am a huge fan of butter and sour cream and salt in my baked potatoes. That's the way I like it. So I'm gonna put my butter right in there to get starting melted. While that melts, I'm gonna deal with my other 3 potatoes. I actually want these cold for breakfasts for the next 3 mornings. So I'm gonna let them sit out a little bit until they cool off, and then I'll stick them in the fridge, either in a baggie or in a Tupperware or something. And in the meantime, I've got Mr. Potato right here. Gotta top that with some sour cream. Oh, yes, my friend. And also don't forget, I had bought a couple of apples. So look, this apple is absolutely enormous. So I can have my baked potato with butter and sour cream and salt. And then I'm going to cut up this apple and I can have the sour candy of the fruit world, the nice green apple, delicious lunch, and came together in no time at all. My other breakfasts for the week are going to be eggs and potatoes. Anytime I go to a restaurant, this is kind of the thing that I order. It's gotta be hash browns and scrambled eggs, or I don't like over easy, over hard eggs. And because these potatoes are cooked and cold, they're actually going to hash really, really nicely. I will put in a hefty dose of butter because hash browns deserve lots of butter. Potatoes and butter, they just go together. Okay, in comes my 1 potato, skins and all. I left everything as it is. And I wanna get, this is up pretty high, I wanna get a nice brown color on these. Little bit of salt here, nice little hit of pepper. Now I just wanna leave it until it gets a sear on it, because the potatoes are already cooked, we're just reheating them. Okay, I've put my potatoes over to one side. Now I'm gonna cook my eggs, and I don't need as much butter, but I'm still gonna put a little bit. Don't skimp on the butter, my friends. Now I'm doing scrambled eggs because that's what I like, but you don't have to do that. You could do sunny side up, over easy, whatevs. Some of my potatoes got in there, it's fine. And I love having eggs for breakfast because they literally cook in less than 5 minutes. And they're salty. I prefer a salty breakfast. Personally, that's just my vibe. I like savory stuff in the morning. Look how fast that was. Now it's time to flip. Yep. And I'm just gonna dunk the whole thing. Booyah! Oh my gosh. Now, if you're really feeling it and you had some extra cash and you bought some Cholula, go ahead and put that all over. But if you don't have that and you maybe wanna buy it next week or whatever, just taste for salt. The potatoes are totally cooked, remember? Because we cooked them in the microwave. Now they've got this like brown crust on it. It's perfect. No, I think I'm gonna add a hint more salt, but this is living, my friends. Another dinner we are going to put together is Cajun chicken pasta using these ingredients. So I did have half the box of pasta from week 1 along with these. These 2 are from week 1. I have 1 of my 2-cup containers of chicken, 1 green bell pepper, 1 onion, some cream cheese, a diced tomato. This one's Italian style because it already has seasonings in it. You could have used a Rotel, a plain, it doesn't matter. And we're gonna test out this Kingsford Cajun style seasoning. And hopefully this will be able to feed us for, I'm guessing, maybe four dinners or so. When I make pasta at my house for my sons, they're happy to eat it for every meal. For my Cajun chicken pasta, I'm just gonna do it kind of in a soup pot or pasta pot and kick it off with whatever fat you wanna use. I did buy butter this week, you could use butter. I'm gonna use some oil, just like that. And in goes my 1 onion and 1 green bell pepper. Yeah, that's a whole dinner plate. It's a ton of veggies, just the 1 and 1. And instead of salt, I'm gonna go in with just a sprinkle of my Cajun seasoning. Remember, I'm gonna treat it a little bit like salt. And I just want these to start sweating in here, a little bit of a saute, get them soft before I come in with my garlic. Coming in with 1 garlic clove. Stir that around for, I don't know, a minute. Now, because my chicken is cooked, I can put everything else in the pot right now. I have 2 cups of my cooked chicken legs, and because this is dark meat, it's not gonna dry out the way chicken breast will. My entire can of tomatoes. I have about 1 pound of rotini pasta. You can use whatever shape you like. 1 full teaspoon of Cajun seasoning, and I'm coming in with my homemade chicken bone broth. Look how gelatinous that is. I don't know how many cups this is. I think it's 2.5. It might be 3. That needs to melt down a little bit. And I do have a little bit extra chicken broth. If this is not enough liquid, I might just get it going with just a little bit. That's just water with a chicken bouillon. Okay, that definitely does not look like enough water. I want the pasta kind of covered. And we are just going to bring this to a light simmer, cover it up, and let our noodles cook in this liquid until it's done. Let's check back in about 10 minutes. This is the 10-minute mark. My pasta is not quite done, but I am going to come in with 6 ounces of the cream cheese, not the whole block, but almost. And I do want to taste the broth for salt just real quick. And I'll let this go another 5 minutes probably. Get in there. I'm just tasting for salt because I'm using a Cajun seasoning brand I'm not familiar with. My Cajun flavor is pretty good. I like it spicy, so I'm gonna come in with another little sprinkly sprinkle, but it's pretty low in salt compared to the Tony's that I'm used to, so I'm also gonna come in with a little sprinkle of salt as well. Get that stirred in real quick. Lid on 5 more minutes. 5 minutes later, let's see if we can get this cream cheese all stirred in. So I'm gonna turn my heat off at this point, and there's a little bit of liquid in here, but that's not a big deal. I actually wanna just let this sit in the pan together so the pasta will soak up the remainder of the liquid. I figured this might be 4 dinners. So if you were to divvy this into 4 meals, each serving would have 475 calories and 29 to 30 grams of protein. So let me let this sit and kind of soak up. And if it doesn't soak up to your liking, remember, we have our potato flakes. Perfect application. Little sprinkle on here. It'll thicken it just a little bit extra. This looks and smells so good. Okay, 10 minutes later after it kind of soaked everything up, that looks pretty good. So we're gonna scoop some up and it's gonna be dinner time for me. That looks delicious. Another lunch we are going to have this week is ramen, but we are going to hack it a little bit with some frozen veggies and some eggs. You can add whatever you want. You can add chicken, you could add onions, you could add, I still have the frozen broccoli, we could do that as well, but this is what we're going with for this package. I am kicking off my ramen with 2 cups of water as per the package instructions and 2 servings of the peas and carrots. It gives me more protein. You'll be amazed at how much protein is gonna be in this ramen. Bring it up to a boil. Okay, sorry about the fan. My microwave fan just turned on automatically and it won't shut off. Anyway, I'm boiling, so in come my noodles. There we go. I crunched them up so I could eat it with a spoon. This will only take just a minute and then we'll add the rest of our ingredients. All right, I'm coming in with my powder now. Turn my heat off. Okay, I'm gonna pour in my 2 eggs kind of as I stir. And then that hot broth will cook the eggs. And I've got my nice and delicious hacked ramen for lunch. Smells awesome, nice and salty. Our last dinner is inspired by my daughter who has chicken stir fry basically every day for lunch in college, every single day. So this is kind of based on what she likes to put in it and what she likes to eat. I am missing a couple of ingredients, so it won't have quite the pa-pow that I wish, but it'll be good enough. So I have a skillet right here and I'm going in with half of a diced onion. She likes to use frozen veggies, so she usually uses broccoli. You can also use peas and carrots. We're gonna do a combo, and I didn't thaw these at all. These are kind of frozen, so she just does like a little sprinkle like that and a little sprinkle like that of your peas and carrots, okay? And those frozen bags can go straight back into the freezer, and we're gonna saute all of this together until everything's kind of cooked and not frozen like that. Okay, my veggies are pretty soft now, so we're gonna come in with our rice and chicken. Remember, I pre-cooked this rice, so it is cold rice from the fridge. That's about 2 cups of cooked rice or so. And I don't know, should I do all the chicken? A lot of chicken. Let's do all the chicken. 2 cups of chicken. And maybe my pan's not big enough, but it's fine. Now, in an ideal world, I would also have sesame oil, which I think is a nice touch. And then my daughter also really likes to do like a spicy mayo on top. So if you got something like that hanging around, you know, or you steal it from your parents' house, also fine. So I'm gonna come in with some soy sauce now. And then once that really gets going, I'm gonna make a little hole in the middle. I don't really have room for this. This pan's definitely too small. Maybe I should have, I don't know, cooked another one fresh for tomorrow. It doesn't matter. I do have this on high, but I'm telling you. Okay, I got 3 eggs coming in. We're gonna do a quick egg scramble. Okay, my eggs are almost cooked. I'm gonna go in with a little extra soy here. Make sure this is nice and cooked all the way through. Everything's mixed together, and I say this is probably good for 2 really large servings. And if you're not flinging it all over your stove, are you even cooking? I don't think so. Oh my gosh, This pan weighs so much. My left wrist is not that strong. Oh my gosh, this is so much food. If that's too much for you, you could do 3 meals if you would like. So if you were to divvy this whole thing into 2 meals like it is, one entire plate has only 470 calories and 43.5 grams of protein. It's so much volume that you're gonna feel very satiated. Okay, I think it's important to go over the items that we do have left over at the end of week 2. So I'm gonna include like week 1 and week 2. So I have about 6 eggs left, still have a good amount, maybe half of the oatmeal box still. If I didn't want to buy breakfast ingredients next week, I wouldn't have to. I've got 3 potatoes left. I still have some of this chicken bouillon, about half of it. A lot of the butter, because I only used 1 stick, so I still have 3 sticks of butter. Still have a little bit of sour cream. Still have my jam from week 1. My potatoes, my instant potatoes, have some of those. My peanut butter from week 1, the Cajun seasoning, still have that. And most of the rice, because it's a great budget purchase. Still have a lot of that. Did use all my pasta, so I'm out of pasta. Welcome back to Eating for $30 a week. This is week 3, which means the budget fatigue is real, but so are the savings. Oh, also, have you subscribed yet? Do it for glory. We do have leftover ingredients from previous weeks that are really going to help out the budget this week, so much so that I was able to purchase some extras to use for week 4. So I got an extra pound of ground turkey, which I'm not using this week, I'm saving it. And I bought an entire box of pancake mix to save for next week because I don't need it right now, but I had a few extra dollars in my budget by utilizing past ingredients. Because I want to eat some egg salad this week, I'm gonna hard boil a couple of eggs as part of my prep. So I have 10? I have 10 eggs in here. The rest I'm saving just for breakfast, and 1 cup of water on the bottom. There's a ton of ways you could do hard-boiled eggs. You can do them in an Instant Pot like this, or you can do them, it's just in boiling water. I find they peel easiest this way, so I like to do 4 minutes pressure, 4 minutes release time, 4 minutes in an ice bath. Let's make some breakfast. So what's fantastic is we have a lot of options, and I'm gonna start it off with a couple of potatoes. I have 3 potatoes. I poked holes in these, wrapped in saran wrap. I'm just gonna pop these in the microwave and do a little baked potato situation, stick them in the fridge for the week. And I do still have a couple of packets of oatmeal left over from week 1. That's easily 2 more mornings of breakfast. But I did want to utilize my tortillas to make some breakfast tacos. I have the potatoes cooking right now. All I need to do is get my already cooked beans out of the freezer, have those thawed out so I can do some bean and potato breakfast tacos. This is the perfect breakfast for those that love savory food, which is me. I love savory in the morning. So I have 1 of my baked potatoes that I previously cooked in the microwave and then just kept in the fridge. Skin's on, I just diced it into some dices. This only works if your potato is cold. Like it's cooled down all the way, otherwise it'll just fall apart. So actually works really well to prep this in advance. So I'm getting some color on my potatoes. We'll put those in one side of the pan, 1 whole potato. And to the other side of the pan, I'm gonna do some of my pinto beans that I kept and froze from previous weeks. I'll do, however much you want. These are also cooked all the way. That's probably a cup of pinto beans. For seasoning, we could do taco packet. You could do onion powder, some cumin, and salt and pepper, which is what I'm gonna do. And I have this on medium high. I wanna get some good color on these. Little black pepper. And potatoes and beans can handle a good amount of salt. I don't know, 1/4 teaspoon-ish, but basically seasoned to taste. Okay, time to plate. I have 2 tortillas right here. And to be honest, I probably have too much filling. This is probably enough for like 4. Yeah, definitely. I made too much. Go figure. What else is new? If it's not on the counter, are you even cooking? Yeah, and I got some leftovers for tomorrow. Okay, oh no. Puppy. At this point, we are going to add our toppings. So I have a little bit of sour cream left over. That could work. I also picked up this really inexpensive, like, canned salsa, which is nice. And I have some leftover shredded cheese from my block of sharp cheddar that I got, which I love. So we're definitely gonna do some cheese and some salsa on top. And this little can should probably last you the whole week. I might re-container it in a glass container. And you could also do this same idea with scrambled eggs, and the potato hash browns would also work. Oh my gosh, it's so much food and it smells bomb. For lunches, I have a couple of options. So we're kicking it off with egg salad sandwiches with a side of some kind. So I mixed up enough egg salad to maybe make 3 sandwiches here. So we put however much, I think you cannot have enough pickle on egg salad, to be honest. It's my favorite ingredient in there, but mix it up the way you like it. It's basically just mustard, cut up pickles, some pickle juice, some mayo, and whatever else you like, paprika. Cayenne pepper, whatever. Also, sandwiches cut in half taste better than sandwiches not cut in half. That's just a fact. Don't ask me why. It's, you know, science. So there's my egg salad. We could do apple on the side. I think that's delicious. Some cucumbers and ranch if you want. Maybe a banana. Bon appetit. I love sandwiches.
A sandwich?
Let's make some more lunch. I am gonna do a grilled cheese sandwich with some sliced up cucumbers and ranch today. So I could slice up my sharp cheddar, but I also have some sliced cheese slices left over from week 2. So I'm gonna use one of those. And a ton of butter left over from week 2. So this is kind of all you need to do a really banging grilled cheese plus some salt. So I'm gonna butter my bread here and get my pan heated up. Okay, I have a pan warmed up here on a solid medium, slightly under medium, and my first piece of bread is going on butter side down. And I'm gonna take it down just a hair. I think that burner is a little on the hot side. And 1 slice of my sliced cheese, not Kraft, generic brand sliced cheese. And I want to let it go a little low and slow so I can get a nice golden crust, but also melt the cheese. Oh, that's perfect. And right on the flip, a little sprinkle of salt. I like it a little on the dark side. That's a personal preference. You don't have to do that. If you don't want it that dark, you can just take your heat down a little bit. To me, this is perfection. There we go. This looks so good. And I have a ranch packet from Wendy's in my fridge. So I got that out to go with my cucumbers here. And I know some people like to do grilled cheese with soup. I'm not one of those people. I love it. Bon appetit. I grew up eating this chicken rice soup or stew. It's a very thick stew. So I have my leftover chicken, our celery, 1 onion, a couple of carrots, however many you like, some chicken broth, and rice. This is the base. Doesn't take very long to cook. It makes so much, and it is delicioso. Other ingredients you will want for this recipe are a couple of bay leaves and some thyme. You can do ground thyme, you can do regular thyme, it's whatever. You can get these at the Dollar Tree, wherever they are cheapest. Bulk stores are great. The price on these is pretty minimal when you consider the quantity that you're gonna be using, 25 cents max, because these will last a very long time in your pantry. To make our chicken rice stew, I have 1 soup pot, a little bit of oil, or we can use the butter that we had left over from last week. I have 1 entire diced white onion, 3-ish stalks of celery, and these are 4 pretty small diced carrots. And we're just gonna saute those until they get soft. Okay, I'm now adding 8 cups of water with some bouillon cubes because each of these is going to be 2 cups. At this point, we wanna crank that temperature up to high and add our chicken. So I have cooked chicken from a previous week. If you don't, you can use canned chicken. You can throw in raw chicken. It will cook in there if you are gonna use raw. My favorite is on the bone. In theory, I probably should have cut that smaller. It'll be fine. I'm also gonna throw in 2 bay leaves and about a teaspoon of thyme. I'm using ground thyme, but you could also use regular. Fresh is great. And I'm gonna check my broth levels. Feel free to add more or take away depending on what you wanna do. And then there's no measurement for the chicken. I'm just gonna use all this chicken so I can use it up and it'll be like full of protein and heartiness. I'll feel full for a long time. Get that in there, we'll simmer for 20 minutes. Oh, that's hot, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm checking this out at about 25 minutes of simmering. Look how thick and delicious this looks already, and I don't even have rice in here. If you don't prefer rice, you can do pasta and make a chicken noodle. You can do those frozen like egg noodle things that are really delicious. This is just the way I grew up eating it. I'm just gonna taste for seasoning real quick. Oh my gosh, it is so good. The chicken has so much salt on it and the broth is really salty, so I'm not gonna add anything, maybe a little extra thyme. I just really like the flavor of thyme in this dish. There's no real measurement for the rice. I'm gonna start with 1 cup. This is literally the way my mom taught me to make this. You basically stir it in, and if you've got, like if you can kind of see the rice when you stir, you have enough. And I kind of can't see it, so I don't think I have enough. This is a whole nother cup. We're just gonna, let's go half of that. I think we're gonna go 2 cups, to be honest. 2 full cups of rice. This is just going to simmer in here until the rice is, to be honest, a little overcooked, because that's how mom made it and that's the way we're gonna do it. At the end of it, we will have basically no liquid left. Everything will be absorbed, because remember, it's not a soup so much as like a really thick stew. I'll check it at about the 10-minute mark. Okay, do you see how most of the rice has absorbed most of the water? So, not water, broth has absorbed most of the broth. So we are sitting at about done. The heat is off and it's time to kind of pull out our bay leaves. Don't eat those. And I did taste for seasoning. It's bomb. If you want to add a little bit of pepper at this point, you totally can. This is a 7-quart soup pot. It's not all the way full to the top, so I'd call it maybe 6 quarts, which means we can eat huge portions of this. So I'm gonna do a 2 cup measuring cup to measure out 2 full cups into my bowl here. So 2 full cups. And obviously I have a ton. I could probably do a little more, a little extra chicken. 2.5, delicious. Let's make another dinner, and we're gonna make something my mom made a lot growing up. I'm starting with my 1 pound of ground turkey, which I browned up with basically nothing in it. It's just ground turkey, that's all. And we're gonna come in here, okay, don't laugh. This is my mom's exact recipe, so I'm just copying it. We're gonna come in with 1 can of condensed tomato soup. Why am I always messing with red food when I'm wearing white?
I also like to live dangerously.
Now, I did get 2 cans of the green beans just in case I didn't think I had enough. Okay, we're gonna stir all this together. This is the base of our casserole. I know I said I didn't grow up eating casseroles, and that's true, but this is one of them. I think my mom called it hamburger pie. Now, pepper goes in here for sure, because my mom is obsessed with pepper. Oh yeah. Next step is we're gonna top it with mashed potatoes. So remember all those potatoes I got? Well, I prepped some of them by making mashed potatoes. Here they are. They will spread easier if they're warm, and they also spread easier if you use your hands. And we're gonna top it with some cheese, because remember, everything in here is cooked. So we're just kind of heating it through in the oven. So I'm gonna do maybe half of this block of shredded cheese, and we're gonna pop it into a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes. What's great about these 2 dinner meals that I made this week is it makes so much that there's plenty to have leftovers for lunches later in the week. I mean, casseroles aren't pretty. Can we just agree that casseroles are not pretty to look at? They're just not. It's fine. It tastes just like my childhood. Before we finished out, I wanted to show you some food leftovers for the week. The only thing I'm not showing you are the pancake mix, because I think my kids like put it away, which means it's not where I left it. I don't know where it went, but you did see it at the beginning of the video and I haven't used it. And then I have 1 extra ground turkey in the freezer, but I also have, I still have some jam. The mayo, I'm really getting my condiments up, you know. I got mustard, still have a bunch of chicken bouillon, tons of tortillas, a good amount of rice left over, a little bit of instant potato. I had picked up 1 extra can of green beans, didn't use it, still have half a pound of butter, along with all the spices and everything that I purchased so far. So I'll be taking these into week 4. Week 4 for eating for $30 a week. Here is the grocery haul. We have a pizza. Can you believe it? The broccoli is also left over from week 2, I believe, that I never got to. A couple of veggies, side dishes for the week. I have some peas, some cut green beans. This is for one of our dinners, the edamame. This is a favorite of mine. Not only are they delicious, it's chock full of fiber and protein. Picked up some sugar, some cheese, got some new peanut butter. $1.53. Coconut milk. 1 dozen eggs, some bread on clearance. Don't worry, I will show you how to preserve this for the week. Because it was on clearance, we don't want it to go moldy. That's for something else. A cucumber, ginger, garlic, onion, and avocado. At my store, the 2-pound whole carrots, more expensive than the 2-pound baby carrots. That doesn't make any sense to me, but that's what it was. 1 pound of red lentils. We're gonna make a delicious dinner with this. Apples were on sale, so I got an entire 3-pound bag of apples this week. Picked up some popping corn for snacks. These are my snacks over here. Popped corn, the apples, and then I saw that this cinnamon sugar seasoned pretzels, this is an entire pound, on clearance for $1.75. Normally, over $4. So I went ahead and grabbed this also because it fit in the budget. Now, all of my items for this week came in at $27. I did that on purpose because I wanted to use some spices I already have. Like I didn't want to buy new cumin, right? I didn't want to buy new curry powder. I already have some lemons. So I wanted to be able to utilize that, but still incorporate it into the dollar amount. So I did have $3 extra to like buy a lemon, buy some spices. And obviously I'm not using an entire package of curry powder this week, so it will last a long time. I have this entire container and it claims that there are 16 servings on the back, but that's for half a cup of the mix. Here's what it actually says. For 1 cup of the mix, mixed with water, that would give you 5 to 7 pancakes. You could argue that that's a pretty large breakfast. And you can do that 8 times out of this container. So you could have 5 to 7 pancakes every single morning. Now, I do have a little bit of syrup left over from previous weeks, but that's not all we can do. Because for me personally, pancakes is not a go-to. I prefer a savory breakfast, which is where my peanut butter comes in. Now, I don't know about this whole like protein peanut butter. We need to calm down with the protein. Like, why do we got to add protein to like chips and Pop-Tarts? It feels very weird. But you could just kind of treat it like bread, and I could do pancakes with peanut butter on it. You could do a drizzle of syrup, pancakes with peanut butter and jam, sandwich style. Anyway, let's make pancakes. To be honest, I don't want to make pancakes every morning, so I'm just gonna do a double batch right now, 2 cups of the mix, and then I'm just gonna stick them in the fridge to pull them out and pop in the microwave. And in case you're wondering, homemade pancakes, like flour, sugar, your own eggs, they do taste better, but if you don't wanna, or you don't wanna learn to cook, you don't wanna buy all the ingredients, this is fine. What's hilarious is like, this has 10 grams of protein, but regular peanut butter, like non-protein, is 7. So they added 3 grams for the protein label. Very interesting. And yes, I love peanut butter. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Look at this, 4 pancakes, what a breakfast. I love it. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Let's make breakfast. For me personally, this is a favorite because it is savory. So with my 12 eggs I have here, I can cook 2 eggs, 1 or 2 tortillas, depending on what you want, some shredded sharp cheddar. Mwah! We are there, that is all I need. And you can do fried eggs, that's actually the quicker way to do it. I prefer scrambled. I did end up using 3 eggs, which means I could only do this for 4 mornings with the amount of eggs that I purchased. If we have some salsa, that would just take it over the top. Don't forget to salt your eggs. They can handle a lot. This breakfast right here is sitting at 31 grams of protein. Isn't that amazing? For one of our dinners this week, we will be making curried lentil soup. Ideally, this will make us 4 servings. Here are the main components. Red lentils, although we're not even using the entire bag. We're only using half the bag, which means you could double it and like freeze leftovers, or you could save half the bag and make it again next week. 1 onion, 1 piece of fresh ginger, fresh garlic. These are crucial when you're cooking with simple ingredients, like fresh garlic instead of jarred garlic and fresh ginger instead of like a jarred ginger. They're just gonna amp up your flavors. And then 1 can of coconut milk. When did this get so expensive? So here's the base. Here are a couple of additional ingredients, a very, very small sprinkle of crushed red pepper flakes. I'd say 10 cents because we're not using much. I'm gonna add a lime for serving, about 50 cents, maybe a little less depending on where you can buy it. Little bit of curry powder, you can use whatever brand you want. This is the one I already have, 20 cents or so for the amount we're using. And 1 can of diced tomatoes or crushed tomatoes, about $1. I happen to have this one in my house. I'll probably puree this in a blender. To get started on our soup, we need to add a little bit of oil. I am going to saute / sweat my onions. Only the onions are going in. These are gonna cook for 10 minutes or so. And we will season in layers. So this is layer 1, our aromatics. We're gonna come in with a little kosher salt, just a little pinch. Now we are coming in with our 4 cloves of garlic. You don't love garlic as much as me, you can do too, but I don't know why you would do that.
The garlic will protect you.
And then I grated the ginger using my microplane. That all goes in right now. Keep your heat fairly low. We don't want to burn the garlic. Also coming in with 1 tablespoon of curry powder and a 1/4 teaspoon, mine's heaping because I like it spicy, of crushed red pepper flakes. 2 minutes to let these flavors come together. Oh my Lanta, the smell of the ginger straight in my face as it warms up together. If you haven't tried recipes like this, you really should. 1 cup of rinsed red lentils and my 1 can of tomatoes. I blitzed them in this little guy, so I didn't want any chunks. And I want a heavy, like, teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna cook that for about a minute. Fresh pepper. Okay, now we're gonna add about 2 to 2.5 cups of water and or chicken broth. And I had those chicken bouillon cubes, so I figured why not add more flavor when you can? And I'm gonna be adding most of my can of coconut milk here. So give that a nice shake. Okay, I set aside like a 1/4 cup for serving, and the rest of that can is going all the way in. I might do a little water and get the rest of that out. Okay, we will now bring this up to a boil and then reduce to a simmer. We're gonna simmer for 20 minutes. And man, if I had just used water and or vegetable stock instead of chicken, this would be vegetarian. Look at that. Okay, this is the 20-minute mark. Now, technically this is a soup, but I'm gonna show you a couple of options for bulking it up, options I really like. Oh my gosh, it's freaking delicious. And don't forget about our lime. Nice little acid punch to cut through the richness. Amazing. And remember that we had leftover rice? It is such an easy, like, meal extender. And then the rice is gonna soak up a lot of that extra juice. And remember that we bought this. I'm keeping this in the fridge for the week so it doesn't get moldy. And I would have preferred naan, but I'm gonna take a couple of these and toast them. Serve those on the side, like a little bit of butter on those when I toast them. Oh my gosh, are you dying? Remember our coconut milk we kept? Oh. We got a little drizzle like that. Oh my gosh, try it. You will not regret it. Let's talk lunches. So I had made so much of the curry that I froze in like those freezer silicone things. 2 servings. These are 2-cup servings of the curry. So I have 2 more lunches ready to go for later in the week, but I'm gonna save those for a few days and I'm gonna pop out my bread that I picked up. Instead, with good old Mr. Peanut Butter. I love a peanut butter sandwich. Peanut butter. In fact, I love 2 sandwiches more than 1 sandwich.
We don't read a lot or run very fast, but damn it, we can eat.
So I have no problem putting together a couple of peanut butter sandwiches, a couple of carrot sticks. Ooh, excited about the carrot sticks. These are fairly small. So 2's kind of like 1. And have you ever tried a grilled PB&J? I mean, that might set you up forever, friends. It really might. Oh, and actually, I could do grilled cheese. So I could do like peanut butter and jam today, 2 grilled cheese tomorrow, because I do have enough cheddar cheese to take care of that. I could do an egg and cheese sandwich, which would be delicious. I'm a simple girl. It's my preserves I bought in week 1. Look what I found in the baby carrots. They're not actually baby carrots. They're big carrots that they just make look small. That's hilarious. I've never seen a big one like that before. Anyway, however many carrots you want, a little bit of ranch on the side. If you want to, you don't have to. Of course, maybe some apple also. I could do the pretzels as well. A couple of days of lunches. Simple, fast, and yummy. For 2 of our lunches, I picked up this little pizza. It was on Got it on sale. It's $1.99. Nutritional facts for half the pizza is 640 calories and a whopping 28 grams of protein. So this is basically protein pizza. In fact, hang on, I'll fix that. Oh, look. Protein pizza. It says it on the box. It must be true. Italian spice and crushed red pepper. I love this pizza. How adorable. And I'm going peas because they're so filling. There's tons of fiber and pretty high in protein for a vegetable, honestly. So 2 servings of this bag, so half of this bag, is gonna be another 10 grams of protein and 8 grams of fiber. Love that for me. Lunch for today and tomorrow, dunsies. Delicious. Okay, this is a huge amount of peas. Oh my word, this is so much. I always thought I didn't like peas when I was a kid. That's because people were giving me canned peas, canned green mush, bleh. But fresh and or frozen are quite delicious. I'm a simple girl when it comes to peas. A little bit of salt, a little pat of butter. I am done. Let's make some snacks. So I bought this popcorn and I found this microwave popper at Walmart for just a couple dollars. It was on clearance, although I have seen these online. This is the mini size and you should be able to just put this in the microwave. And I have a hole in this bag right here, so that's why it's sitting odd. I should probably relocate this into a jar or something. I will do a quarter cup of the kernels right here. And we're putting just a little bit of butter on this lid that will melt and drip on it as it goes. I'll add salt at the end. I'm gonna go a little under a tablespoon of butter right there. While that's cooking, I relocated my popcorn into this guy. I was checking out the nutritional information. 1/4 cup is actually 2 servings. If every snack was that amount, I would get about 13 snack servings out of this guy. I could literally have popcorn every day, twice a day at that amount. And there's actually a good amount of fiber. If I do the full 1/4 cup and I eat all of it, that's 12 grams of fiber. That's not bad. All right, we have just under 3 minutes here and oh, I need to clean my microwave. That looks pretty good. A little bit of salt. So how much popcorn is this really? Let's measure it. This is a 4-cup measuring cup. And we are more than that. It definitely didn't look like it all popped, but I'd say 5-ish cups of popcorn. Add as much salt as you want or any other seasonings. That is not bad. Let's do another snack. Now I bought a ton of apples, which I thought would be great for snacks, as well as this clearance bag of pretzels. Pretzels are a big hit in my family, and checking out the back, we have 16 servings at approximately 28 grams per serving. But I only have a week and I want more pretzels than that. So I'm gonna double up the pretzel amount. If I did 1 apple and some pretzels every day in the afternoon, I would have enough to do it every single day. And then you add on my popcorn snack, that's not bad for the week. Okay, I have my food scale right here. Put a plate on it, it is set to grams and I have zeroed it out. That is 57 grams. And that's actually a lot of calories. Just in the pretzels, I'm looking at 260 calories right here. Plus, I don't know, depending on the size of the apple, this one's fairly small, maybe another 80 or so. Oh, a little peanut butter on the side. Now we're talking. Welcome to our next dinner. We're gonna make Korean beef bowls. I will be using ground turkey instead of ground beef because it's so much cheaper. We'll build a beautiful sauce, a nice base for our ground turkey, utilize our fresh ginger, a little bit of garlic, and then we're just gonna top it with tons of veggies, which will be delicious. Oh, I forgot to get my edamame out, but we will be utilizing it for this dinner. So start some rice cooking in your preferred method, Instant Pot, on the stove, rice cooker, whatevs. Okay, starting with the sauce, we're gonna do a 1/2 cup or just under of brown sugar and an equal part of the soy sauce. And I do like having like a good bit of sauce to soak into my rice. If you don't like it saucy, you could probably half this. A little crushed red pepper to your liking. If you have some sesame oil, this would be a great spot for it. I don't, but we do want to add our fresh ginger. So maybe about 1 inch grated right in here. There you go, that is our sauce. Start browning your ground turkey, and I'm gonna add a couple of cloves of diced garlic once this is about halfway cooked. Okay, when your beef is cooked, add your sauce and just simmer it for a couple of minutes and you're done. So I cut up my cucumber, shredded a whole bunch of the carrots, I got my avocado. If you have this is not necessary, but if you have it, it's a nice addition. If you have some rice vinegar, I have these little packets, a little pshk in your cucumber will make a nice quick pickle. So, and then we can build. So this is for dinner tonight, plus I'm gonna meal prep 3 containers. So I have these 3 containers and I made a lot of rice, a ton of rice. So we'll make a nice mound there and that's all of it. Oh, no, I have a chunk in there still. Each one of these has 2 cups of cooked rice at least. This one's probably closer to 3. Ideally, each container gets about 4 ounces of the cooked turkey, and then I'll divvy up the sauce. So these 3, I want my toppings to be semi-cold, except for my edamame, which I just cooked in the microwave for about 4.5 minutes or so. All this needs is a little bit of salt sprinkle on top. This is a favorite in my family. And then when I reheat these, I do want this cooked. So these can go in just as is, just like this. A little bit of salt right on top of those. Okay, these are ready for the lids to be put aside. And then my cucumber, shredded carrot, avocado goes on day of. Let me show you what it looks like right here. So I like to make piles of stuff. So a nice pile of the shredded carrot over here, edamame here, got a nice pile of my cucumber over there, and then a little bit of avocado. Have you seen how to get the pit out safely? I saw this online and I couldn't believe it worked. So I'm gonna push right there, just with your thumb. Oh my gosh, well, that one stuck a little bit. How come I'm just now learning this? Was today years old? So we can put saran wrap on one of them and stick it in the fridge. These are my go-tos for this dish, but of course, if there's something you don't like, leave it out. No big deal. How delicious does this look? If you have a few more dollars in the budget, you could go in for like a Korean sauce on top, but you don't have to. The meat is seasoned excellently and there was extra sauce there. A little bit of salt on top. My friends, this is freaking money. Okay friends, that is week 4 of eating for $30 a week. Keep in mind, I started this entire series with my 2 oldest kids in mind. They are 21 and 19 years old, and they have moved out. They're doing the whole adulting thing on their own. So I wanted to approach this with, they really have nothing, very little cooking skills, and they don't want to spend hours and hours in the kitchen every single night. Easy, semi-quick, and approachable for new adults. If you enjoyed this series, go ahead and share it with someone who might find some value. And if you did enjoy it, maybe you would enjoy my Feeding a Family starting from scratch series, which I just started. I will leave that one down below as well if you have not seen it. Subscribe if you want to see more cooking content and more shenanigans coming up next. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.